Audio enthusiasts have a wide range of car preferences and styles, but a common theme among a vast majority of us gearheads was the dream of racing, usually an obsession that started at a very young age. While there are a wide variety of race cars, one of the highest level attainable and most sought after is open wheel racing. While there are many different levels of open wheel racing, the IndyCar series is the premier level of formula racing in North America. The sport has roots going all the way back to 1905. However, the current series, as we know it today, began in 1996 as the Indy Racing League. In 2008, they merged with the rival Champ Car World Series to form what we know today, IndyCar. In the beginning, open-wheel race cars were mostly front-engine roadsters. However, by the 1960s, they evolved into the rear-engine formula cars we know of today. Now, the Indy Lights series was formed in 1986, and it was formed as a spec series. So a spec series basically means that all the cars have to have the same chassis, drivetrain, brakes, all the same components to make competition fierce. It makes the cars basically equal across the board, which means that everything comes down to driver capability versus having the more powerful car in a race. So an Indy car like this one, a 2009, this is a 2009, they have the Dallara chassis, which is still used in Indy Lights cars today. And it's powered by an Infinity 3.5 liter V8 that puts out about 420 horsepower. And of course, as an open wheel race car, it's extremely light. But to put it into perspective a little bit, this car is about 1,490 pounds, whereas say a Ferrari 430, which has about 480 horsepower, is 3,300 pounds, so over double the weight. So you get the same kind of horsepower as a 430, but half the weight, making it extremely fast. In 2010, a driver development program called the Road to Indy was formed, and it's basically a scholarship-funded ladder system to help aspiring young drivers reach their goal of one day driving in the Indianapolis 500. So it starts with the F2000 championships, and then you work your way up to the Star Mazda championships, and the final rung of the ladder before entering IndyCar is the Indy Lights. Now, many famous drivers have worked their way through this program and driven Indy Lights cars just like this one. People like Marco Andretti, who through a program like this and driving cars like this have reached their way to star status driving in the Indy 500. This car was driven in 2009 by James Hinchcliffe, who worked his way up the rungs of the ladder through the driver development program and eventually went on to win in the Indy 500 in 2016, which just goes to show how incredible that driver development program really is. It's one of the best programs out there, and a car like this one is a piece of that history. Hinchcliffe drove this car, and now it's available, and it's honestly one of the best ways if you have aspirations to be a race car driver, to be a pro driver. A car like this is an incredible step in that process on your way to become that. Or even if you're just a racer for a hobby, I mean, these cars are serious performance cars. There's not much out there much better than something like this, because not only is it has incredible power, incredible downforce, everything you'd want in a serious race car, but as a spec car, all the parts are very readily available. So a lot of the cars that my dad and I have raced throughout the years, right now we just spent last weekend at the track with our Lamborghini Gallardo GT3 car. And parts are expensive and sometimes hard to come by. But parts for cars like this are really easy to find and not super expensive. So you can follow your dreams of racing without breaking the bank like you would in some other cars. This is a very serious race car. So we just spent the weekend racing our Lamborghini Gallardo GT3 car at Willow Springs, which is a purpose-built race car. Unlike a street version Gallardo, this one has the big splitter in the front and big wing and all the goodies from factory to make it a serious race car with some serious downforce. So to put it into perspective a little bit, the difference between an open wheel, light, powerful car like this and another serious race car like the Gallardo, the Lamborghini can run something in the like low 1 minute 20 second, 1 minute 25 second lap times at Willow Springs, whereas an Indy Lights car is in the 1 minute 10, 1 minute 15 second range. And a 10-second lap time difference in a race car is extremely serious. I mean, that's a huge difference. That's light years in racing world. And part of the reason, you know, it's an open wheel, light, powerful car. It also has little adjustments you can make for different tracks. So the serious downforce that this car produces from the big front wing and rear wing, and just the aerodynamics of the car all over is crazy. The wings have little adjustments right here, so you can change it a little bit depending on the track you're running and what you need for that specific track, which is awesome because not all tracks are created equal. And then another nice thing about this car is it has a giant spares package. So when I went to pick this car up with my husband, we went to the trailer and opened up the trailer, and it's an entire trailer full of spares. It's everything you'd need for this car if you're wanting to run it. So, you know, it's just kind of like, it's got a bit of everything. It's got the good racing history with Hinchcliffe driving it in 2009. It's got the spares, and it's a serious race car. And a side note that I just have to mention about the downforce. So when we were driving the car back, we have a flatbed trailer. And usually my husband drives his 2500 HD diesel truck that doesn't even feel a car being towed behind it. But with this, the downforce from the wing on the back of the trailer actually like made you feel the car behind the truck. You could feel the drag it was producing on the trailer just from the force of the downforce on this wing on the back of the trailer, on the back of the truck. So that was just kind of interesting for me to sit in the car and be like, oh wow, that's some real downforce right there. Starting a car like this Indy Lights car is not the same process as your normal car. It's a multi-step kind of ordeal. It's not that hard, but there's a couple steps to it. So first, you remove the rear cover, and you could probably access the little port on the other side without the cover off, but for the purpose of the video, I want to make sure you could see everything I'm talking about. So to remove this, it has little like quick connectors or Zeus connectors, so you kind of unscrew them and they pop up, and then it's all undone. And then you could take off the rear deck lid right here, slide it back, and then remove it off the car. It's very lightweight, like everything on this car. And once that's off, right here on the side of the engine, there is actually a place where you plug in. And it's the block warmer. So basically you plug it in and you warm up the block for 30 or 40 minutes before you try and start it to make sure that the car is nice and warm. Right here, this cord is just a battery tender to make sure that the battery stays charged. And then also, in addition to warming the block and having that charged all the time, you also have an external battery because starting this car takes a bit of power. So you plug in the external battery, and then you come to the front, and once it's been warmed up for 30 or 40 minutes, you plug in the external battery. And then before even this part, you'll want to dry crank the car a couple times to build the oil pressure. Once it's been dry cranked a few times and you have that pressure built up and it's been warmed up, in here, there's a little switch inside here for the power, for the main power. You switch that on, then you go to the front and you can start the car. So let's give it a shot and show you how it sounds. Whether you're looking to further your career in racing or just to race as a hobby, this Indy Lights car is really a great option. It's kind of got everything you'd want, and I've gone over all this, but you know, having owned and ran a bunch of race cars before, the fact that spares are easily accessible, this already comes with a ton of spares, it's a seriously powerful race car with all the aerodynamics you could ever want on any track, it just makes it kind of one of the better options out there. So I hope you guys have liked this video and learned a little something about the Indy Lights car. If you have, please subscribe and hit the like button and stay tuned because we got a lot more cars coming in the near future.